So they can be hard to hook, but give your middle grade reader one of these titles and they will be occupied and entertained. Provo City Librarian Joella Bagshaw has a summer reading list that is librarian and reader approved. We have to check both boxes. It's great to have you, Joella.
Well, thanks so much.
Is there an age range you would put on these titles before we jump into your list?
Yeah, so these are middle grade, which means they're for about 8 to 12 or 13-year-olds to read.
And you told my producer a good length, meaning they will occupy kids for a while. It's not like a 1 week read.
It's not a 1 week read, with the exception of the graphic novel if you're a really fast reader. But yeah, these are ones that will take a little bit of time but have enough substance that they'll come back and keep thinking about them.
Certainly depends on the reader. If you're my niece Charlotte, they're done in a day. But
probably.
You know, I was one of those too, so I get it, I get it. First on your list, Aniana.
Aniana Del Mar jumps in. This is about a girl named Aniana. She loves swimming. She thinks that she belongs in the water as much as a dolphin does. But the problem is her mom doesn't like swimming, and she had a bad experience in a hurricane that had a tragedy in their family history. So she doesn't want Aniana to have anything to do with water. And so it's about Aniana trying to figure out who she is and if she's okay not swimming, or if she can convince her mom that not everyone's going to have a tragic life story if they go swimming. And so beach fun, but with a lot of substance.
I was going to say a good read is a good read, but there are a lot of character lessons woven into that storyline, it sounds like. Okay, we'll put it on the list. There are things that I never thought I'd say on television. The title of this next book is one of them, Elf, Dog, and Owlhead.
Yes, it's by M.T. Anderson, who won a National Book Award a few years ago. But it's about a boy during COVID, and there's magical realms all around. He's stuck at his house, can't see any of his family or any of his friends, and only his family through video chats and things like that. But he finds this elf dog named Elfinor. She's a big, kind of like a Great Dane, but with red ears.
Okay.
And she takes him on journeys in the woods behind their house, and he finds different magical realms, such as one where he meets a friend that has an owl head and a human body. And they realize that magical things are happening all around them, and they have to be careful, otherwise they might be stuck in a magical realm forever.
So magic is the operative word.
And adventure.
And adventure. It's interesting to me that I mean, obviously a new read, a recent write, because we're already been able to publish things about COVID. That seems like a fast turnaround.
Yes,
we're still all reeling a little bit, but okay, we'll put it on the list by M.T. Anderson. First Time for Everything made your list.
Yes, so this is by Dan Santat, who won a Caldecott Award a few years ago. He did a graphic novel memoir of when he was younger. He was told by his parents he needed to go on a study abroad to learn about the world. He didn't want to go, and he was sent to Europe with all these people that he didn't really know about, and decided he would draw his way through Europe and drink all the different kinds of Fanta flavors that there were in Europe, and
pineapple's the best.
And found himself.
Okay.
So, but I do agree, pineapple is the best.
Thank you. Yeah, well, cheers to that. Tell us about the Guardian test.
The Guardian test. Christina Soontorvat, 3-time Newbery Honor winner. It's her new series for younger, so this is like the 8-9-year-olds.
Okay.
Adventure, fantasy. It's all about trying to decide if she's a guardian. She has to take a guardian test. And guardians in this world can turn into animals, and they help save the day and make sure that the world is in safe hands. Okay. So she's trying to figure that all out.
The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh made your list too.
Yes, this is a historical fiction / realistic book. Again, COVID. So in this book, Matthew, he's stuck at home with his mom and his great-grandmother.
How interesting. That's a theme we're now reading about.
It is now starting to be a theme. His great-grandmother, he has to help her unpack all of her boxes from moving from the assisted living care center where they were afraid she would die of COVID. And as he's unpacking, he sees all of these pictures of her growing up in Ukraine in the 1930s during the big famine that Stalin pretended didn't exist, where he just let all of the Ukrainians die. And so it's the historical bit about Ukraine and what was happening, as well as Matthew coming to grips with figuring out who he is through his family history.
It's a then and now. I love that parallelism in books. That's always really fun to read. The Super Teacher Project by Gordon Corman. Tell us about this one.
Yes, Gordon Corman, famous middle grade author. It's a kind of like a sci-fi type of book. There's 2 kids that are pranksters. They call themselves rule wreckers, but they have met their match with a teacher that's an artificial intelligence teacher that can figure out what they're doing before they even can pull off the pranks. So it's all about Oliver trying to one-up an artificial intelligence teacher.
Okay, and finally, The Swifts.
The Swifts, A Dictionary of Scoundrels. So in this family, the Swifts, when they're born, they get their name from the dictionary. And the main character is named Shenanigan.
Oh.
And everyone thinks
Darn
she's
it, Mom
this
and Dad.
horrible person just because her name is Shenanigan. And she's
Shenanigan.
trying to figure out if her name will define her. Their whole family comes together for a big family reunion, and there's a mystery, and there's murder and mayhem, and everyone thinks that Shenanigan might be part of it, or Shenanigan needs to figure out what is going on. And
I just want to keep saying the name Shenanigan.
I know, she's just trying to figure out who she is again.
I love it. It sounds like that one might even make a great family read. Do any of these fit in that category of good read alouds?
I think a lot of them actually would. I personally would read any of these to my nieces and nephews of that age.
We just had the pep talk this morning because the summer tour chart is already losing its luster. And I said the most important thing next to brushing your teeth on that chart, because we like to check boxes, so we list some of the basics, is reading. Like, let's get that done, and these books will help that happen.
Yeah, for sure, because the summer slide is a real thing. If kids don't read over the summer, they lose a little bit of what they've learned in the school year.
We'll add a caveat to this conversation. A lot of these books so popular, you're having a hard time keeping them on the library shelf.
I actually had to buy extra copies so I could bring them here today.
Yeah, so if the book we want is not in the library, then what?
Then you can put it on hold.
Yeah.
And then it will come in eventually. All the libraries in Utah also have what's called interlibrary loans. So if a small library in Utah doesn't necessarily have one of these copies, they may be able to borrow it from a different library. But all of these are also available digitally. So a lot of the libraries, they have Overdrive or Libby, and you can read or listen to these on that format as well.
All right, Joella, thank you for the important and magical work that you do for our kids, keeping them reading through the summer, and thanks for this list as well, which we will post for you on the Studio 5 website. You can head there to download and share with the middle grade reader in your house. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Nice job.